tomorrow, but bringing with it adverse weather through northwest Ontario and then eventually right across both Ontario and Quebec and into Atlantic Canada. But can we just talk about the temperature for a second? Just stop what you're doing. Stop what you're doing and appreciate if you are not in Saskatchewan this morning, it is really cold. It is minus 21 in Regina. It is minus 15 in Edmonton. And when we look at the wind chill, it is feeling like minus 31 in Regina. This is colder than average. This is not typically how cold it is this time of year in November. It is not unusual to have snow, but this type of wind chill hurts. It hurts the face. Later on this afternoon, you'll have a high of minus 16 in Regina, so enjoy that. Minus 14 is the high in Edmonton, so not far off where you are today. This morning, minus 6 in Winnipeg this afternoon, and then plus 1 as we slide over into Thunder Bay. It is going to be plus side temperatures Toronto eastward towards St. John's, but not necessarily the nicest weather. Just in terms of the fact that we've got this Colorado low moving its way in. It's already bringing snow this morning in northwest Ontario, Kenora, Dryden, just west of Thunder Bay. But even in the Sault Ste. Marie area, you may have some flurries moving in this morning. Now, generally through the day, the cloud cover builds. All of this moves west to east. So areas in the south will start to see that cloud cover push its way in. Few showers are possible. But remember, temperatures are only peaking at like 6 degrees in the south. And it is possible some of those raindrops will, instead of on your windshield when you're driving, instead of like hitting like a raindrop, they'll splat, like they're a little icy. And that's because the air temperature is not necessarily that warm through today. In the northwest, it's going to stay as snow. Central Ontario is going to get it next. Areas like Timmins, for example, in Val-d'Or, Quebec, could see possible periods of freezing drizzle through today ahead of this moving its way in. So it could be real icy. And then that snow transitions as we head into those overnight hours. Overnight tonight in the south, we are going to see pockets of heavy rainfall. We'll get this period of freezing rain tracking into communities like Algonquin, into areas east of Georgian Bay, north of Ottawa, into the Montreal area, and it's possible some of this will flip over to snow. So there's actually special weather statements just north of Ottawa this morning, indicative of possible 2 to 5 centimeters of snow as this rolls its way through. And then what we see over the coming days after that is gusty enough winds that there will be some lake effect snow east of Georgian Bay. We're going to fast forward into the weekend ahead, and look at this. The snow starts creeping its way fairly far south as we head towards Friday. So there is a big pattern shift happening across Ontario and Quebec in particular. You've already had that shift in Western Canada to more wintry weather. It is coming. Winter is coming for Ontario and Quebec throughout this week. We'll talk more about that coming up, plus take you through Atlantic Canada. For now, here's a closer look at today. Welcome back. It's a bit of a snowy start to the day in portions of our maritime provinces. Eastern New Brunswick, western Nova Scotia, Halifax up towards Moncton, and then east towards Truro. You might be seeing a few flurries to start off your day. They won't last long. We are expecting positive temperatures across the region, so snow should flip over to drizzle. Though again, and I've said it so much lately, temperatures can be as warm as 6 degrees, and you could still be having flurries at the ground if that warm layer of air at the surface is really, really thin, because everything above it is below freezing. Now, it will be a very cloudy start to the week, kind of continuing the trend we had last week in Atlantic Canada. Not much in the way of sunshine, even as we go through Tuesday. By Tuesday afternoon, there is a shift, and we will start to see more rain and snow track its way into our Maritimes first, north of Fredericton up towards Edmundston, the Gaspé Peninsula, and into Quebec. It is a snow story by Tuesday evening. South of that, we are likely to see rain continuing right throughout the night on Tuesday into those wee morning hours on Wednesday. The nice thing is as this front progresses its way northward, look what happens. The sky clears by Wednesday night. We will start to see through even as early as the afternoon, some sunshine. It does mean that Thursday morning is going to be a cold one, because this time of year, while the cloud cover can feel really gray and hard on the heart during the day, it actually insulates the lower atmosphere. So it keeps us milder temperature-wise. When you lose that cloud cover and you get the bright, beautiful sunshine during the day, it does mean those overnights are going to be cooler. Now, for Wednesday night, it is a rain and snow situation happening in Newfoundland, so keep that in mind. Pretty quiet over the Pacific, and this is in stark comparison to this time last week. Remember, we were talking about this building big weather bomb over the West Coast. Today, there is dominant high pressure across the region, and you can see that because of a lack of cloud happening for much of of the Pacific just offshore for the west coast. Now, with that being said, there's still some precipitation for Vancouver Island happening and snow falling through the Kootenay Pass this morning. And that snow is going to prompt very difficult travel conditions as we see ending through today. At most up to about 20-25 centimeters of snow. And this is several warnings on top of one another for the last week and a half. So a lot of snow in the region, great for the ski hills, not great if you're doing any commuting. We also have snow falling farther east. We've got a weather system centered right about there. We don't have a lot of radar coverage farther north in Canada. The radars come to us from Environment Canada, and just because most of our population is farther south, we have better radar coverage the farther south you are. But we do know that up to about 25 centimeters of snow is set to fall in the Dauphin area, for example. So this will continue through today. This is Monday's story. It does ease to flurries as the day progresses. Same story for the snow in southern BC, and then we're set to see a few quiet days in western Canada before more snow by end of week. We'll talk more about that coming up throughout the show. For now, here's a quick look at today. Welcome back. It is a very cold start to the day in Western Canada. Look at the fuchsia on the map. This time of year, the fuchsia is always very indicative of the coldest temperatures. It is colder than the blue across Western Canada. So BC, Alberta, Saskatchewan into Manitoba, those are the air temperature values. We're going to flip over to wind chill. So the calculated value of what it feels like when you factor in the air temperature and the associated wind speed. And you can see in many cases, it is feeling like minus 30. Red Deer, Saskatoon, Calgary, it is feeling like minus 25. And let's go live to Calgary if we can. Pardon me, this view courtesy of Delta Tech. That road at the bottom of the screen right there, that's Memorial Drive. It's clear, but there's snow on either side of the roadway, and you can just see this the kind of moisture coming off the buildings, prompting significant cloud. It is really, really cold, and that cold, unfortunately, sticks around now that it has settled its way in. The daytime highs today peak in the minus teens across northern BC, Alberta, and Saskatchewan. It is going to be warmer in Yellowknife than it will be for communities right along the Trans-Canada. Minus 6 today in Winnipeg. We jump up to +1 for Thunder Bay. We have plus high temperatures, Toronto eastward towards St. John's. But, I mean, the forecast is not as straightforward as the temperature would indicate. We've got this incoming Colorado low. And Colorado lows this time of year are notorious for bringing a messy mix of snow and rain depending on where you are. Now, for Northwest Ontario, pardon me, this is falling as snow this morning from Kenora to west of Thunder Bay. Looks like Sault Ste. Marie, Elliott Lake area. You might be entering into some flurries as well. A little bit farther east, if you're waking up in Ottawa, if you're in Montreal, you are under a special weather statement starting tonight, heading into tomorrow. It's very likely we're getting into freezing drizzle, possible freezing rain, maybe even a little bit of snow accumulation, perhaps 2 to 5 centimeters, depending on where you are. And it also depends on that layer of warm air, where it sits. If the layer of warm air sits right in the middle of the atmosphere with cold air undercutting it, we'll see freezing rain. But if we've got full-on cold air all the way up towards the cloud, that will manifest as snow. So it just really depends on the atmospheric profile. Now, in terms of the weather for through the rest of today, we are going to see that snow go from Winnipeg all the way up through northwest Ontario, down through Sault Ste. Marie area with showers in the south. As we head into those hours post-sunset, even as we get towards midnight, that's when we get into this risk of freezing rain. East of Georgian Bay, we'll see the greatest risk of it, Algonquin area towards Ottawa and Montreal. While that's happening, Toronto, Hamilton, Niagara getting hammered with rain, and then snow farther north, east of Sault Ste. Marie, Sudbury, North Bay area up towards Timmins. This then tracks its way eastward right through southern Quebec and into Atlantic Canada. So coming up in the next half hour, we'll track it through our maritime provinces, what you can expect. Because again, just like Ontario and Quebec, it's very location dependent on what type of precipitation you see. We'll take a short break here on the show. But up next, a different kind of home bidding war with some... There are a few showers. There's some snow falling in Atlantic Canada this morning. Flurries, more so than snow. But it is happening this morning. It's been cold enough in areas like Moncton, for example. You may have seen a few flurries as opposed to raindrops. If anything, they're wet flurries, or they are just crusty, icy raindrops that are falling this morning. But there may be some accumulation in some areas, particularly more wooded areas or more agricultural areas. Anything that is really developed, where there's a lot of infrastructure, you're likely to see more rapid melting, just due to the fact that asphalt and concrete hold more warmth than something like grass, for example. Now, in terms of the weather today, you're going to notice a lot of cloud right across the region. That holds from last week. Areas more susceptible to seeing some moisture would be Corner Brook northward, up through the northern peninsula, and then right along the Gaspé Peninsula. Otherwise, as this weather system departs the region, unfortunately, the cloud cover lingers. Now, as we go through Tuesday, what starts off as a dry day and stays dry right up until early afternoon becomes a lot wetter as we head into the afternoon on Tuesday. By the time we hit, I would say like 3 o'clock local time, for areas for our western Maritimes, you'll get into the likelihood of seeing rain or snow move its way in. Now, snow for communities farther north, I'd say Fredericton northward at the higher risk for snow. Areas to the south and east will see rain first, and this rain will sweep its way through. We're going overnight Tuesday into Wednesday. But what's cool about this is that as this front makes its way across the region, you see what happens in behind it? The sky clears. And so we actually get into a wee bit of sunshine for the back end of Wednesday. That clear sky lasting overnight Wednesday into Thursday, which also means a colder start to the day on Thursday. But it will be nice to see a break in that cloud cover. For Newfoundland, unfortunately, because you are farther east and north, you are going to see this front move its way in through the evening on Wednesday. And that will bring with it rain and snow right across the region. Areas farther east, I'd say like Kiander eastward through the Avalon Peninsula, seeing rain, and then westward, more likely to be seeing snow. Now, speaking of west, we've got dominant higher pressure at play across the Pacific. And so generally, it's going to mean a lack of active weather in the long-range forecast. Where we're still seeing it this morning is through the Kootenay Pass. We've had snowfall warnings maintain themselves through this morning. Those will get dropped as the morning progresses, but it is a lot of snow within the region. We've also had the snow ease for areas farther east, and so while we still have some flurries this morning around Dauphin, for example, the snowfall warning has been ended at this point, but it is still going to be something to factor, and there's a lot of fresh snow on the ground through parts of Saskatchewan and Manitoba. So keep that in mind. It obviously will be impacting your day. And if you are headed to school or not, make sure you check out with your local board. Take a short break here on the show, but still ahead, a special global ease as the day goes on, as we start to see dominant high pressure move its way into BC, which is short-lived, but does give a reprieve from some active weather. But unfortunately, this time of year, once that cold air has settled in, once high pressure moves its way in, it sticks around. And so it is very cold this morning in Western Canada. Regina, you are shoveling all of that snow, and it's minus 20 for this morning. It is feeling a lot colder, feeling like minus 29. Just a reminder, we know this kind of as we get farther into the winter season, but when it is this cold, exposed skin is at a higher risk of freezing. You can check out those wind chill factors and the impact on your skin and frostbite as you go to Environment Canada's website, but just be prepared. You don't necessarily want to be standing outside for periods of 30 minutes or longer if you don't have adequate protection on this morning. Now, in terms of the highs later on today, minus teen temperatures across Western Canada and parts of Yukon, a little bit milder for Yellowknife, minus 8, minus 11 for Iqaluit, and then pardon me, as we're heading farther east, we've got plus side temperatures 6 today in Toronto, but a risk of showers moving in. This is part of a Colorado low, bringing with it snow across northwest Ontario, parts of communities east of Superior, like Sault Ste. Marie, eastward towards Elliott Lake, seeing snow as well. And then we've got a couple different advisories at play. We've got both a weather advisory, Greater Sudbury region and North Bay, perhaps 10 to 15 centimeters of snow, as well as freezing drizzle set for southwest Quebec. We'll talk more about that coming up in the next half hour. For now, here's a quick look at today's highs. Oh, geez, I remember reporting outside like that. Mike, you are a champion. Thank you. Your face hurts. It gets hard to form words when it's that cold. So warm up, stay warm for today. It's going to, unfortunately, be cold all week long in spots like Saskatoon. The warmest day when you look at the long-range forecast in Saskatoon is Saturday, where the high is minus 13. So there you go. Atlantic Canada, we also have a wee bit of snow falling this morning. And I emphasize the wee because it's just a tiny little area of our Maritimes that may be seeing this flip over to snow outside of the Halifax area, outside of Truro, for example. It might be cold enough that you're seeing snow as opposed to rain or even some mixing happening, a little bit sleety this morning. It will be cloudy all day long, few showers mixed in through the day. Cloud cover sticks around through Tuesday. And then by the time we hit Tuesday afternoon, we get into rain and snow that starts tracking its way in from from the U.S. Northeast, from Quebec, from southern Ontario, driving into our maritime provinces. And that brings rain for the most part, but areas of northern New Brunswick, Gaspé Peninsula, northern Quebec, flipping over to snow. Then that clears the region by Wednesday morning for the most part. And as it moves its way up toward Newfoundland, look, the sky clears. There's sunshine. We've got rain and snow that'll continue in our communities right across Newfoundland, unfortunately, northern Quebec, Labrador, right as we go through Wednesday evening. Now, Western Canada, high pressure is building its way in, so that is some good news. We've had snowfall warnings dropped in the Kootenay Pass, but there is some snow residually hanging around for the Okanagan this morning, and then a few lingering snow flurries in southern Manitoba. But for the most part, it is going to be a fairly sunny week ahead for Western Canada. Once these flurries clear, we will see just really cold air sitting over the region, unfortunately. Then let's round things out going live to Algonquin this morning. This view courtesy of EarthCam. It has been cold all throughout